Penn State's got to be going, what happened? A rare interception by Drew Allar cost them the game as Notre Dame gets the field goal at the end. Notre Dame moving on to the national championship. Penn State will not be. We'll discuss it. We'll discuss the big games with James Franklin. We're down to Ohio State now in the Big Ten for a chance to get to the national championship. This is a live edition of Locked On Big Ten. We'll have all of our opinion and analysis right here.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten Live. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. And I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Catching us here on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button while you're here because we're here every day, always looking for new subscribers. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. New customers could bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com and get started. So Penn State, they're out. Tomorrow, we'll look at the Buckeyes, or if you're watching this early on Friday morning. We're going live Friday night, too, just like we are Thursday night after the Buckeyes game. We'll get to them later. But let's get into this here, and let's figure out what happened. Penn State, the first drive, 5 plays, and then they punted as they got the ball. The one thing I liked about Penn State in that opening drive is everybody touched the ball. Nicholas Singleton touched the ball. Quinshon Allen touched the ball. Ty Warren touched the ball. So spreading it around, even though they didn't do anything, getting everybody involved early, part of the game plan. I like that. Then Notre Dame, on their first drive, they had that big 32-yard pass play from Riley Leonard to Mitchell Evans to the Penn State 43-yard line. I was, whoa, they're getting something going here. But it stalled. Penn State's defense stopped it right there, and Notre Dame had to punt on its first drive. But then Penn State another punt after 6 plays. So nothing really going on here. They're feeling each other out. Then there was a point that on Notre Dame's second drive of the ball game, Riley Leonard, he let a pass sail, and Zachy Wheatley intercepted it. And, one thing we talked about in our previews up to this game throughout the week, and you go back and check them out on Locked On Big Ten, turnovers were going to be the key here. And going into this game, Notre Dame, their defense regular season forced 28 turnovers. And Penn State is not a team that does commit turnovers. So I thought, hey, whoever can win that battle, I know it's an old, worn out, commonly used key to the game, control turnovers. Whoever doesn't turn the ball over will win. Whoever takes care of the ball will win. I thought that was definitely going to be the case here. And early on in the game, it was Notre Dame turning the ball over and Penn State was benefiting. But at the end, when it was crunch time, Penn State turned the ball over and they lost the football game. So that did turn out to be the key statistic of the game. But anyway, let's pick it back up here. Late in the first quarter, Penn State's starting to get a little momentum as we go into the second quarter. They got a 14-play, 55-yard drive. They get down to the Notre Dame 3-yard line. And Drew Allar just completely whiffed on a pass to the right. Remember that? To Nick Singleton. And it hit him in the hands. He could have caught it. He had to reach behind him. He dropped it. Had that pass been on the mark, that would have been 7 points instead of 3. You can look back at that play, too, as a key play in the game. They had to settle for a short, cheap 20-yard field goal. They get on the board first, Penn State 3-0, but they left 4 points on the field right there because Singleton was wide open. It was a free touchdown. Allar just goofed it, and Singleton didn't catch it even though he got his hands on it. It was a bad throw. So we're early in the second quarter. Penn State's up 3-0. Notre Dame, at this point, they start suffering a few injuries in the game. Antoine Knapp, their left tackle, he gets rolled up on the ankle. Tosh Baker has to replace him up front. He's only played 60 snaps all season long. Penn State's defensive line was getting pressure on Leonard at this point, and Notre Dame has to punt the ball. Penn State gets it. Now we're in the second quarter. Drew Allar whiffed on another pass. I mean, he was inaccurate tonight. Let's call it the way it was. Drew Allar was not accurate tonight passing. Whiffed on Nick Singleton on an open wheel route. That would have been a big touchdown. Absolutely. There's another one they left on the board. So we'll get to that because they ended up scoring a touchdown later, but that would have been an easy one. And at this point, Penn State's picking up the pace. Notice that? Quick snaps. Notre Dame wasn't really getting settled in on defense. There was Quinshon Allen had a great 20-yard run to the 30. Tyler Warren, Wildcat snap, 12-yard run for first down, and putting together some explosive plays. By the way, explosive plays this year at this point of the game in the broadcast, they pointed out Penn State in all of 2023 had like 94 quote-unquote explosive plays. This year, 146. That's the Andy Kotelnicki offense, which I thought his play calling was fine overall tonight and mixed things up. And it was the turnovers. It was the turnovers that did him in. Nick Singleton ran for first down on this drive. Quinshon Allen ran for a first down. The Notre Dame defense was going backwards. They were on their heels. They couldn't stop it. And Penn State just kept coming quick plays, not giving Notre Dame time to settle. There was the key 4th and 2 from the 16-yard line against still a 3-0 ball game at this point. And although it was the right decision, James Franklin decided to go for it here. 4th and 2 from the 16. They did that quick throw to Warren for a first down. That, by the way, was his 100th catch. If you're an everydayer here on Locked On Big Ten, you know that we're fans of Ty Warren. 100 catches for the tight end this year. And by the way, I don't think a receiver had a catch tonight for Penn State. I know going late in the game they didn't. It was all tight ends and running backs tonight. Singleton scores on a 5-yard touchdown here. And it was a 15-play, 90-yard drive, 7 minutes off the clock. 13 of the 15 plays were running plays, and Penn State's offensive line is blowing Notre Dame off the line of scrimmage. Just blowing them off the ball. And it's like, wow, they can do that. Let's show them some Big Ten football. Let's win the football game this way. They weren't consistent enough. They didn't keep doing it. In fact, I'll talk about how later on in the game, Notre Dame started doing that to Penn State, frankly. But right now, at this point, Penn State's up 10-0, 2 minutes to go in the half. This is also the point when Notre Dame got the ball. Riley Leonard took a pretty good shot. Had to leave the game. Concussion protocol. Check him out for a concussion. Rocco Spindler, another offensive lineman, the right guard, he's out. So at this moment, Penn State's got all the momentum. They're playing physical. They're blowing Notre Dame off the ball. Notre Dame's quarterback is hurt, and 2 of the 5 offensive linemen are hurt. It is not looking good for Notre Dame. Then Steve Angeli comes in, who technically is redshirt sophomore. He's a better pocket passer than Leonard is. And he came in and he completed his 4 straight passes. He completed 6 of his first 7 for 44 yards. I'm thinking, whoa, maybe this is the guy they need in there. He did get sacked after reaching up for a high snap. Abdul Carter playing with one arm because of the bad left shoulder. And all of a sudden, Notre Dame, they got to settle for a 41-yard field goal to get on the scoreboard at the end of the half. That was huge. So they got to score. It's 10-3. They're just down by a touchdown. No big deal after everything that happened. And it felt like Penn State had huge momentum at this point in the game. So we go into the half. Penn State's only up 10-3. Notre Dame gets a score last drive of the half, and they get the ball first in the second half. And we found out during halftime that Riley Leonard passed concussion protocol. So he started the second half. He was back in there. And this is where Notre Dame started to look like Penn State. The Fighting Irish were blowing Penn State off the ball on their very first drive. They put together 8-play, 75-yard drive, go down the field in 4 minutes. Jeremiah Love was amazing. 6 yards here, 9 yards there, 9 yards here. Leonard passed it to Aeneas Williams for 36 yards. Aeneas Williams running for 15 yards. And now Penn State's on its heels. And Riley Leonard scores on a 3-yard touchdown that he ran. So here we are, 10:46 to go in the third quarter. And all of a sudden, this game is tied at 10. Where, Notre Dame couldn't get anything going offensively. Now they're rolling. And, in the first half, they only had 15 yards rushing. They had 44 on the opening drive of the second half. Things changed drastically coming out of the locker room. So Marcus Freeman and the group, great job. Whatever adjustments they made, they worked. So now Penn State, with all the things that started to click there at the end of the first half, the passing game was not one of them. Drew Allar was only 5 of 13 through the air in the half. And their second half, they come out for their first drive, 3 and out, punt, Notre Dame stuffing them. So now Notre Dame's winning the battle on the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. And think about this. Notre Dame scores 2 drives in a row. They score on the last drive of the first half, first drive of the second half. They've got all the momentum. This thing's all tied up, and now Penn State can't do anything. Notre Dame did hold, things slowed down a little bit there. They punted. Penn State starts with the up-tempo a little bit. Allar finds Warren for 22 yards, but then Allar took a sack on a 3rd and 7, loss of 8. They had got to punt the ball. Now Notre Dame gets the ball, and now we're going into the fourth quarter. All right? And we're tied at 10. And Notre Dame's moving the ball. And Jeremiah Love with a bad knee. When they got down to the goal line, that run he scored for the touchdown, it was a 2-yard touchdown. One of the best 2-yard touchdowns I've ever seen in my career. Broke, about second, third, and fourth effort. 5 Penn State guys had a crack at him. Jeremiah Love's on a bad knee, and he fights his way into the end zone for the touchdown. Notre Dame takes its first lead of the game, 17-10, 14 minutes to go in the ball game, and they've scored 17 straight points at this point to take the lead 17-10. So it's big boy time now. Penn State, they got to come up with an answer. Do they have an answer? Drew Allar finds Ty Warren for 27 yards to the 48. It looked like Warren may have been concussed. He hit his head on the ground. They had to take him out and check him out. Thankfully, he did come back into the ball game right after that. Again, at this point, no receivers involved. It's all Ty Warren and just the running backs. Drew Allar, 9-yard run. Drew Allar to the other tight end, Khalil Dinkins for 20 yards. Ty Warren then comes back into the ball game. Quinshon Allen, a 10-yard run. Hard run. Got to, get to the Notre Dame 8. And then Nick Singleton, an equally hard run. 7 yards. Boom. Into the end zone. Penn State answers Notre Dame. 7 plays, 75 yards. 3:47 to go, or 3:47 off the clock. Still got over 10 minutes to go in the game. But we're tied again. 17-7. It feels like both sides, the momentum, it's evened out. We're ready for a dogfight at this point. Notre Dame, they get the ball. Riley Leonard throws an interception. All the momentum back to Penn State right now. Danny Dennis Sutton, 6'5", 265 pounds, actually dropped out of the pass rush, dropped back into coverage, and it fooled Leonard, and plus with his 6'5" frame, intercepted the ball. And got the ball at the Notre Dame 39. So another big mistake by Notre Dame. Again, they're making the turnovers, not Penn State. And at this point, on 3rd and 5, Drew Allar ran for 11 yards. Huge block by Quinshon Allen for the first down. And then, again, this is where Drew Allar was not really passing the ball well. He lobbed that pass to Ty Warren, who was double-teamed in the end zone. The ball technically got intercepted by Jack Kaiser, but there was a late flag. It was pass interference because Aiden Schuler, one of the guys double-teaming, was face guarding Warren. He never turned around and looked back for the ball. You can't do that. So that's pass interference. Penn State got a huge break right there. No, it was a horrible pass by Drew Allar. It actually was. But good call by the officials. And then eventually Nick Singleton punches it in from 7 yards. So it's a quick 5-play, 39-yard drive off of the Notre Dame turnover. Again, the turnover by Penn State wiped out by the penalty. So they're good. Penn State takes the lead, 24-17, under 8 minutes to go. Penn State's got the momentum in this thing. They had the momentum in this game late. And Notre Dame didn't want to be denied either. Riley Leonard puts together a 7-play, 81-yard drive, finds Jaden Greathouse for a 54-yard touchdown. The Penn State defender fell on the play, and Penn State just let him right back in the game with that play. Tied it up at 24 with 4:38 to go. Crucial defensive mistake right there. Penn State gets the ball back. They immediately punt. Notre Dame, they get the ball, fair catch on their 24 with 2 minutes and 34 seconds to go with this game tied. There was a couple of key plays here now. 3rd and 5, a minute to go. We're still tied. And Penn State, they get the sack. Leonard gets sacked at the 49. They're out of field goal range, so they got to punt, right? With 52 seconds to go. Penn State gets the fair catch on their 15-yard line. 47 seconds to go in the game. They've got their timeouts. They're ready to go. Singleton runs for a first down. And then Allar throws that interception. Drew Allar threw the interception. It was a bad pass. It was a bad decision. Notre Dame's got the ball on the 42-yard line with 33 seconds to go. They run their plays. They run their timeouts, and they kick a 41-yard field goal, and that's it. Notre Dame wins. Notre Dame's going to the national championship. Penn State is not. I know I'm going to get some comments here because I'm going to comments in the next section. People will criticize James Franklin again. Not winning the big one. He came very close. Needed this one. I know people could talk about, hey, they won playoff games against SMU. They won a playoff game against Boise. Got to beat Notre Dame in the semis to get to the national championship. This is a frustrating game for Penn State. Very. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you, Nittany Lion fans. I know some Golden Domers are watching too. I always hear from those guys. Don't forget, tomorrow night, if you're listening to this or watching this on Friday on tape delay, Friday night after the Ohio State game, we're going to go live as well here on Locked On Big Ten. We'd love your comments. We'll get to all those. We'll continue to analyze this game, and we'll take a look at Ohio State's game against Texas in the Cotton Bowl. All that is coming up here as we continue with our live version Thursday night, Friday morning of Locked On Big Ten. I want to make sure that you know about Rocket Money. Rocket Money to help you find all your subscriptions you may have and maybe forgot about, you're paying for. Say, hey, you're paying for this. Let's cancel this. Or maybe you're paying for one twice. Let's slim it down a little bit. Let's get that budget together. Rocket Money, that's what they do. And they help you with your personal finance, like a personal finance app. Helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings, brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions or spending habits or even the goals that you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users. You could be one of them. And saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions. You can do that too. And saving members up to $740 a year, all using all the app's premium features. So check it out. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Hey, I also want to remind you to subscribe. If you're brand new, we always get a lot of new viewers with these live shows. Hit the subscribe button. Be a regular part. We're here every day putting out podcasts, and we'd love to do all things Big Ten, news, opinion, analysis, Big Ten, all of them, all 18 teams right here on Locked On Big Ten. Hit that subscribe button for Locked On Big Ten or wherever you get your podcast. That way you'll get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. And share, like, and follow it. And don't forget, we have a website, talkbig10.com. You can check that out. All of our podcasts go there. And we have links where you can buy your favorite team's merchandise from your favorite school for your school spirit. So check all that out. Again, that is at talkbig10.com. Love to have you there. And I want to thank all of you everydayers who are with us each and every day for being with us here on Locked On Big Ten. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. All right. So Friday night, we got the hottest team in college football, the Ohio State Buckeyes, and our last hope for the Big Ten to do anything. Taking on the Texas Longhorns in the Cotton Bowl. Again, we're going live right after that game as well. The Longhorns they're probably looking at film and then closing their eyes at night and having nightmares about Jeremiah Smith. He's a freshman wide receiver. I don't normally say this about freshmen. Nobody would. He could play in the NFL right now. He's a man-child. He's that good, and he has been on fire during the playoffs. Texas better lock him up, but there are problems if you do that. So just to tell you how good he's been in just the 2 playoff games, he's had 13 catches, 290 yards, and 4 long touchdowns. Will Howard, his quarterback, has been getting him the ball, and Will Howard has blossomed under offensive coordinator Chip Kelly. In 4 years, when he was at Kansas State, he was a 59% passer. Under Chip Kelly at Ohio State, he's been 72% completions with this offense. Been absolutely incredible. So, and by the way, if Texas' plan is to roll over and do a little double team on Jeremiah Smith, then they've got Emeka Egbuka, who's going to be in the NFL next year as well. So they got 2 receivers. And then if you keep dropping too many guys in nickel package or whatever you have, you got 2 running backs that are going to be in the NFL with TreVeyon Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. So a lot to deal with for Texas in this one. Plus the Buckeyes offensive line seem to figure things out with their injuries. And Texas got some good news for their offensive line as well. Cam Williams He's their best offensive lineman. He had a knee sprain. He was questionable for the game. He injured himself in their playoff opener against Clemson, and he missed their double overtime win over Arizona State. He will play. We just found out he will play in this game. 37 career games, 16 starts. Meanwhile, he's going to face a Buckeyes defensive line that's playing its best football right now. And if that defensive line gets in the backfield, Quinn Ewers is one of the best passers. No question about that. But he's not the most mobile guy. He's not very mobile. So if Ohio State can get the pressure on, I think they could get to him. Buckeyes, a 5.5-point favorite in this game. If they keep playing like they've been playing against Tennessee and Oregon, I think they're going to cover that big time. I think a big margin of victory for the Ohio State Buckeyes. So we'll see on this one. Also, a lot of bad weather in the area and all that. Everybody hunkering down, ready for this game in the Cotton Bowl. But the game's indoors. It's got a roof. So let's get your comments and see what you think. Penn State, Ohio State, it's all up for grabs right now. Always love this part of the live podcast interaction. My immediate interaction, your immediate reaction as well. Jeffrey checking in, talking about James Franklin. He will never win the Natty, only because he can't win the big game. I knew, like Jeffrey, there's a lot of people that say that about James Franklin, and I knew they would say it again tonight, even though it was a close game down to the wire. Brent says, great game. Glad Notre Dame won. Go Irish. I told you, we have a lot of Irish fans that check in here on Locked On Big Ten. Sometimes they spar with me, but we always have them. I'm always glad to have them. Let's see. Another Jeff. Somebody needs to fire the guy operating the clock in that game. Yeah. I noticed there was a play that didn't move, at least the one on the TV, and that synced up to the score. It was about 14 seconds. Yes, I saw that. I didn't know if that was correct, if it was corrected. I hope it was for the integrity of the game. I know what you're talking about. I absolutely do. I wonder if anybody else caught that. Let's see. Ratsiavi. Rudy, that's a Notre Dame fan, shouting out with Rudy. And let's see here. GP was not happy with the coverage on ESPN. This is the worst coverage he's ever seen. Could you be more specific why you thought that? It's a fair opinion if you want it. Ryan checking in says the Irish are going to win it all. See, we got a lot of Notre Dame fans here checking us out. Jason says Penn State deserves better than Allar. He's no good. And hasn't been good, I'm paraphrasing at this point to keep it clean, but he should get drafted by Cleveland because Cleveland has bad quarterbacks. Look, Drew Allar was off the mark tonight, and he threw some just weak air balls, just lofted them up there. I didn't like his passes tonight at all. I think that's a fair criticism. Let's see here. Adam says, Penn State fan here, if the DB doesn't slip, Notre Dame likely doesn't score a touchdown. Allar's interception was a killer, but with no help at all from the receivers, seemed to feel like he had to do a little hero ball. Yeah, that's another fair criticism. It's been a couple years in a row. If there's a weakness on Penn State, they don't have receivers. They don't. And they weren't involved in the game tonight at all. That's just not 2024, 2025 football. That's something they've got to fix. They claimed to address it last year, and with the port, they didn't get anybody. They have to get some receivers to stretch these defense because everything else is in place. They're making it too hard for themselves. Good text there. I agree with that as well. And boy, the DB that slipped, was that a slip or was that I just got toasted, let me fall down? It was kind of one of those, wasn't it? It's bad. Let's see. Paul Zoss. No, you're wrong, Paul. It says Craig, you've been an Irish hater from the beginning. You picked IU. I'm an IU grad. I could see that was not a sound take. Then you completely ignored the fact that the Irish defeated the SEC champion. No, you're wrong on everything. First of all, I'm an IU grad. I was picking IU. I thought they would play better. And I did not ignore the fact that Notre Dame ended up beating Georgia. So, but this is Locked On Big Ten. If you want the Georgia Notre Dame thing, go to Locked On SEC, perhaps. So I have not been an Irish hater Absolutely not. Talk about them all the time when it comes to expansion. They absolutely need to get their rear ends in a conference. If that's hating, I don't think so. It's logic. It's the way it's got to be. Why does one team have this little set of rule for themselves and everybody else got to play for? We're all playing for the same prize. We all need to take the same path. We all need to be in a conference. We all need to play conference championships. If that's hating, then you have a different definition of hating. I just think it's logic. Let's see here. Adam also says Rudy was offsides. Let's see here. Adam says the SEC was lousy this year. Georgia quarterback was injured. Penn State gave this game away. Notre Dame didn't win it. Interesting take. So anyway, a lot of good texts keep coming in here. Dick Maxwell says if the seeding was the way it should have been, Oregon would have won against either of those two teams. The only thing I talk about with Oregon is, the number one team should have had an easier path with the brackets. And then therefore, look, they clearly were flat. They were flat. They hadn't played in 23 days. They ran into a steamroll of a team in Ohio State. Had Oregon taken on another team, whether it been Indiana, Boise, Arizona State, maybe that would allow them a quarter or two to chip off some rust and then hit all cylinders like they were playing at the end of the season. That's how it should work for a number one seed. They should get that benefit. And by the way, all four teams lost. Too much time off is what I think. So now Ronan says that DB did not slip, had his ankle snapped in half. He was faked out. Jeff Adams, 2 years from now, Notre Dame will be in the Big Ten. I don't know if it's 2 years, but yeah, they will be. They don't want to admit it, but they will be. And more people talking about Oregon. I forgot how to play defense in their last couple of games. Anyway, a lot of great texts. Appreciate all that as we are going live here Thursday night, Friday morning. Always good to hear from all of you guys. Meanwhile, we're going to have a final word, kind of get caught up on everything here as we are live on Lockdown Big Ten. Always appreciate having you guys here. And we're going to take care of a few other things and get ready for our Friday night broadcast live after the Ohio State Texas game. Lockdown Big Ten Live continues. All right, on Lockdown Big Ten Live, we got Penn State's out. Sorry to say, still good season. So now we're looking at Ohio State to represent the Big Ten in the national championship. So we can't get the all Big Ten final we had hoped for. Notre Dame's going. So if they take on Ohio State and, Ryan Day, Marcus Freeman, maybe that'll be the matchup. We'll see if Ryan Day can get past Sark and the Texas Longhorns. Got a lot of things to look at with this game. Very interested in it. And look, Texas is a very formidable team. They've made it to the Final Four 2 years in a row. Last year, where we just had 4 teams. This year, with the expanded format, they still got in there into the Final Four. They'll be very formidable in a Cotton Bowl. Ohio State and Texas. Looking forward to that. We'll be live here on Locked On Big Ten Friday night, ready to go. Couple quick thoughts looking ahead, since we cover all things Big Ten here. If you're new, we got some men's basketball Friday night. Minnesota is at Wisconsin, 7 o'clock on the Big Ten Network. Number 22, UCLA, taking on Maryland, 8 o'clock on Fox. Saturday, USC men's basketball at number 13, Illinois. That's a nooner on the Big Ten Network, and Indiana at Iowa at 8 o'clock on Fox. Hey, there are a ton of ways for you to interact with this podcast on a regular basis. If you're new, first of all, you can find us on Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten. Our website, talkbig10.com, where we put all of our podcasts. They're always there. It's the number 10, talkbig10.com, and links to buy your favorite team merchandise there as well. And don't forget, before you go, hit that subscribe button and follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Lockdown Big Ten as soon as it becomes available each and every day. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back again Friday night after Ohio State and Texas with another live edition of Locked On Big Ten. Thanks for joining us. I'm Craig Sheeman. Talk to you next time.